Okay, I've hit the button. So hopefully this will be live very soon. Now with this particular broadcast, it may be between 30 seconds and 1 minute behind me. So please, when you are asking your questions, just be aware that depending on the internet where I am and the internet where you are, it could be a small delay between when I see your question and am able to answer it. So right now I'm broadcasting away and hoping that I get to see the signal, and there it is. 1 minute so behind me. That tells me that we are about a minute behind. So I reckon we're live now. So I'm going to get started, and hopefully somebody can let me know in the comment section if you can hear me and if you can see me. Now, firstly, I'm in the dark, aren't I? So why don't we get started straight off the bat demonstrating what Siri can do. Hey Siri, turn on the studio lights.
Sending a request. Okay.
Oh, that's a bit bright. Hey, there we go. Okay, so that is how simple it is to use Siri. Hands-free. I was able to give an instruction, and I think obviously the camera couldn't adjust from going from the dark to the light so quickly, but Siri is that easy to use, and I'd really love to be able to see to get your feedback as to how often you're using it. So in the comments section, I know if you've got me full screen, obviously you won't have the ability to write comments. If you're watching me on a computer it'll be that side actually. On that side, there's an area where you can chat. Now, you might need to sign into YouTube to be able to chat, but if you do take the time, so here I can see that Tian and Denise are here. Good to see you. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you for putting in the comment. Now, I can see there's over 30 people already online, and I think we've got just under 100 who are due to watch. So I might just give it a minute or so before I get started. Whilst you are all joining, please do take the time. Let me know in the comments section, how often are you using Siri? Because this is really about, I'm here for you. I'd like to get a gauge of how often you're using it to show, for me to best give you value in tonight's show. I really do want to take it beyond the basics. But if most of the audience isn't using Siri, then we might be better off covering off some of those basics as well. So I'm just going to take a punt that you are probably a minute behind me in my question being asked, you seeing it, and then having time to answer. So I am going to get stuck into the show and go through these tips and updates and try and see if I can get you to use Siri a little bit more. So when it comes to Siri, you saw there how easy it was for me to engage Siri, and that's one of the ways that you can engage Siri. There are 4 main ways you can engage Siri from your iPhone, although you could probably stretch that out to 5 or 6 just with extra accessories that are being added. So obviously if you do have an iPhone, some of you will have the new iPhone 10 that does not have a home button, and others do have the home button on the bottom of your bottom of your iPhone, sorry. So if you have the phone that has the button, that's what you would press to engage Siri. You'd hold down that home button for around 2 seconds and it goes beep beep. Now when you hear that beep beep, it's ready. So a lot of people hear that beep beep and don't react. The second that it goes beep beep, it's ready to talk. And other people start talking before the beep beep is finished, and it misses the first words. So it's really important that you wait for the beep beep. Now, if you do have one of these newer iPhone 10s, they don't have a home button. And so what you need to do is touch I'll see if I can get the reflection the right way. It's the power button here, which is on the same side as the camera. Just to the side of the camera here is the power button. And if you hold your finger down on that button, what is the weather today?
Here's the forecast for today.
And it will engage Siri. So on the phone, on the new phones, it's a button on the side. On the old phones, it's holding down the home button. And obviously this is the same for iPads as well. If you have an iPad, it's with the home button, you hold down the home button to get it started. But as you saw when I started this show, I want the simplest way. And for me, just speaking to the device is so simple. So let's check in and see who has answered some questions. I'll get the mouse back over to my screen here. Let's get this back up and see. So Erica says, not using Siri at all, but happy to learn more. So Erica, I'm asked all of the time, what is the easiest way to use the iPhone and easiest way to use the iPad? And those of you that have known me for a long time, for probably 6 or 7 years now, I've been saying use Siri. But it's like taking the proverbial horse to water. I can get you to the edge, but I can't get you to drink. So I really encourage you to take the steps you see tonight and start using Siri. It will make using your device much easier. Here's Judy using it every day. Well done, Judy. It does make a huge difference. Denise, not very often, but mostly for recipe or conversion. It's a start, Denise. Conversion's absolutely fantastic. Now you've had some successes, it's maybe time to take it a step further. Dorothy says, sorry, had trouble trying to comment. That's okay. Well done. You're there now. You're signed in. I use Siri often, particularly when wanting answers to that life puzzles. There you go. I didn't realize that. Now, I'm meant to have do not disturb on so I don't get messages. But Tian has sent me a message. I'm going to read it because usually it's got to do with something going wrong. I should put this on the screen, shouldn't I? Tian says that I can't put it on the screen. I should tell people about my face. So obviously I look pretty red on the screen here. Just a few days ago, I had some treatment for pre-skin cancers, for pre-BCCs. Probably many of you have had it, and I am looking awfully red. Hopefully in a few days that will settle down. I don't want to have all of my iOS 13 videos looking at them for the next year with this big red face. Oh dear. And Bev, who was around this afternoon, good to see you tuned in. We couldn't watch you on the laptop, you're on my phone. You might want to try on the laptop again. There's nothing to stop you trying to do that whilst you're still watching on the phone. If you're able to get it working, great. And if not, and it might be you flipping around to be signed in as yourself, not John. So let me know how you go. So let's get back to Siri itself. And as I mentioned, Siri, there are the main ways to control it with the button, with your voice. If you happen to have headphones, so I've got these wireless headphones. These are Beats headphones, which are made by Apple now, or Apple bought Beats. And with these on, there's no wires, but there's a microphone and there's a button on the side here. And if it's on this side actually. And if I push that in, guess what? That engages Siri as well. Also, if you happen to have these Apple little Bluetooth headphones, once again, when I put these in, all I need to do is double tap, and I can actually show you this in action because I've seen them. You can see here they've connected to my iPad, and all I need to do is double tap on the side here. What is the time in Paris? Oh, it did tell me it's 11:39, but it must have grabbed that information from my phone. That's just the problem of having multiple devices in the house. Now, one of the tricks you can use if you do have multiple Apple devices and they are all fighting for control, if you put your phone face down, it is not meant to respond to Siri, but obviously my headphones were connected to the phone. So anyway, that was just a double tap of that little headphone and I was able to access Siri. So Siri is coming everywhere. It is not just on the phones, it's in the iPads. And as you're saying, hey Siri, you saw me do that before. I'll show you in the settings shortly how you can set that up if you haven't already. And here is an example with the headphones. But Siri is also in the car. So when I'm in the car, I'm driving hands-free, being able to speak to Siri. So Siri is not going away. Siri is coming to you in more places. And in America now, 95% of all vehicles come with Siri as standard. So probably within a couple of years, we'll have the same numbers in Australia. So you may have noticed that my Siri was male. So if you're wanting to change the language of your Siri, you can do this in the settings. So I'm going to start off here I'll go to my iPad, and I'm just going to come up here to get the right icon on the screen. I'm going to come up here to the settings app and touch on settings. And then on the left hand side of the screen here, if I get my noggin out of the way, you'll see that one of the options you have is called Siri and Search. And if you touch on Siri and Search, you just need to scroll down a little bit. I've got some extra settings above because I've been using some of the newer features. If you haven't been using some of those newer features, your page might start here. So on this screen, that zoom in is a bit big. Let's go to there. So there we go. So you can see that you can choose the language you want Siri to be. So obviously, if you're in Australia, you'd have Australian English. But if you were in Canada, you could choose Canadian English or Indian English if you're in India, Irish English, New Zealand English, Singapore English, South African, United Kingdom, United States. Lots of variation of the English. So it's really accurate to the accent. Sorry, Scots, it doesn't work for you. If you're Scottish, the chances of Siri working are about 50-50. Hopefully, or maybe you've all seen that YouTube ad of Scottish people getting into an elevator and a voice-activated elevator. It's a great joke, but it's actually true. Scottish accent is very hard for voice to work with. But you can choose any language. If you speak a second language or a third language, you can actually have your device be permanently in that language. If you have another language that's better than English, you might choose that. But here where it says voice, Siri voice here, you can see mine says Australian male. If I touch that, I can change it to being any of these accents. So I could hit Irish.
I'm Siri, your virtual assistant.
I'm Siri. I can't do Irish accents. I'm better off to let him. And I can also obviously change that to female.
I'm Siri, your virtual assistant. I'm Siri, your virtual assistant.
And we can go for
I'm Siri, your virtual assistant.
Might go for the butler of the British. Now, when you do this, you'll see that it starts to download. So I'm actually
Siri, your virtual assistant.
I'm going to return it to the Australian one just so I don't have to wait for it to download. But a lot of people keep telling me that, and my voice is my voice coming through with a big echo? Kurt's just let me know, or Kurt or Alice has just let me know that I'm coming through with a big echo. So maybe if you can all give me some feedback, and I might just have to make some adjustments to how I'm broadcasting to try and improve that so it does not echo. So, but I will, obviously I need your feedback to let me know if there is any echo. I can possibly turn down the speaker, turn down my volume, but then I just need to be cautious of where Siri is working. So I might have to broadcast in a slightly different way. So please let me know if that's happening for all of you. So of course now we've been able to set the language that we want, and that can make a big difference to how you respond to Siri. So some people prefer the different voices. Tian's saying there's no echo, so Kurt, I'm not sure, maybe it will need a not my voice, just Siri. So Siri's coming through with an echo. Okay, I will see what I can do about that, because it is just when changing the voice from Siri. Okay, so we'll see how we go there, because obviously I'd like to try and keep that screen, keep the screen bright for you. So let's see how we go. Bev says, echo is hard to understand me. So I guess I'll have to do a little bit of trial and error and see what's going on. Hopefully that echo goes away. If there is any issue at all with this broadcast, I will re-record it without the echo. So if you persist tonight and get some value out of it, or if it gets too much with that echo, I definitely will re-record it because I'll go listen myself. Okay, so also Siri is, as I mentioned before, it's not just on the iPad, the iPhone, the car. It's also on, you have an Apple TV, and Apple TV now, if you have the Apple TV with the black remote, it has a microphone button on here, and you can hold that microphone button down and ask Siri to control your television. So you can say things like, I'd like to watch The Crown on Netflix, or what did that person just say? And it will back up 15 seconds and put the subtitles on the show. In fact, you can just say, turn subtitles on or turn subtitles off, just by holding down that little microphone button on the Apple TV remote. So I know a lot of you do have the Apple TV remote, but you may have forgotten just how powerful Siri is on the Apple TV as well. And also, Siri is built into the watch. And so when using the watch, I just simply need to turn the watch towards my mouth and ask it to do something. Set a timer for 3 minutes. And you will see, if I can put this in front of the camera, oh, that's a bit awkward. You can see it's counting down. That's much harder than I thought to do. I can't twist my arm that far. But you could see the timer was already working, and all I did was turn it down. So I turned my wrist around. So I will just continue to, I'm just going to send a message to Tian. Once again, I'm going to use a variation of Siri. I'm just going to use dictation. Can you please check on your phone, iPad, and computer if there is echo on this video? Okay, and so I just used my voice to send a message. And I could have used Siri all the way by just saying, hey Siri, send a message to Tian Ewers.
What do you want to say?
Thank you for checking.
Your message to Shane Ewers says thank.
So that's it. That's how easy it is to send a message. Once again, just using my voice, and it sure does beat. Typing. So Rhonda is saying that there is echo on the laptop, but I have you clear on the iPad. So I've got some investigating to do. And thank you, Rhonda. I mean, there's a quick comment. If you want to send me a message on the phone rather than typing in YouTube, you can do that as well. Thank you, Rhonda, for letting me know. Okay, so Siri on the watch, on Apple TV, and if you have one of those Siri home speakers, it's on the speaker as well. So it's just something that's, actually I just figured out if I can grab some, I'd actually need some wired headphones, which I probably don't even own anymore. If I've got some wired headphones, I can listen in on the microphone. I don't think I have. How funny is that? I can listen to see if there's echo coming through from this microphone. I'll solve it. Thank you for persevering with me. Okay, so I really now want to get into some instruction. In fact, I forgot one thing where Siri is also available, and that's on your Mac. So if you do have a Mac computer, you can actually, I'll see if I can get this onto my primary display. You can bring Siri in on your Mac. Oh, it's coming up behind my little sign up the top. Let's see if I can get rid of that for you. Webinar titles. There we go. So up the top there on my screen.
I'm not sure I understand.
Of course you don't, Siri. But you can use Siri on your Mac. Find me my Dunkley Investments document.
I didn't find any files matching Dunkerley Investments.
Oh, that's fine. that's fine. It was worth a try. But you can ask Siri to find a particular document. And obviously I'm doing this on the fly live, so I should have tested what document name I had. But you can actually ask Siri to find a document for you. And you can also tell it to look for photos. Say you were doing a birthday, you could say, find me some photos of balloons. And it goes, oh, it's actually found photos of balloons in my photos, believe it or not. So it's working hard to look throughout your computer, find your stuff first. And if it can't find it on your computer, it will actually look on the internet and find you pictures of balloons to bring into your own documents. So it's quite amazing. Even Siri on your computer, it is, yes, it's on the Mac. It's not on the Windows computer, obviously, but it is on the Mac. So now let's come to things that Siri can do. And Siri can do just an extraordinary amount of things. And what I'm going to do for you all is this document that I'm running on the screen, I'm going to send this through to everyone watching tomorrow. So you'll all get these videos. And Margaret says, I'm watching, but I can't work out where to chat. It doesn't matter, Margaret, you managed to send me a message, so you may as well chat through the message if you can't get it through. So Kurt and Alice, I think they're saying it's impossible to understand on the Mac. So I'll certainly take a look at what is causing that echo, because there must be a loop here, something that I'm missing. I will investigate for you. Okay, so in fact, what I'm going to do is to make sure we have a better chance. I'm going to see if I can go to my overhead camera. I know this might be a bit dark, but you'll be able to see the screen. And that way I'm just going to tell my, I'll stop my computer from trying to take over the speaker. And you'll just see on my screen that Siri is actually working on my iPad. Okay, so let's see if we can solve this volume issue for you all. The vagaries of going live. So we'll go to the cam link, and no, that's the wrong one. Let's get to me again, and we'll flip screens. I will get there. So let's go show the picture-in-picture cam link, overhead, overhead, overhead. There has to be a way. Let's go. I'll get there. Source, camera, cam link. Okay, so now I'm off the screen. Let's see if I can make that full screen. Thank you for bearing with me. Okay, so this is a wide shot. There we go. So there is my iPad from above. So you can't see my face anymore, but here I am still talking. So hopefully this will allow you to hear without echo. So maybe if you can just let me know if that has improved the sound. I'm making sure that my computer is not giving any feedback at all. And from now on, we should be able to have Siri. I'm going to give it a test. What is the weather tomorrow?
Some bad weather coming up tomorrow. Down to 12 degrees and raining.
Okay, so that does not sound fantastic, does it? So I want to show you how you can learn to do more with Siri, how you can figure out what Siri can do here. And the best way is to basically ask Siri herself. What can you do? And here it says some things you can ask me. And every one of these lists has a little arrow off to the right. And if you touch anywhere on here, so where it says FaceTime Lisa, and it says we can use the words FaceTime Lisa, make a FaceTime call to a particular person, make a FaceTime audio call. Now in the top left corner, there's a back button. We can touch on the back button there. And I'll make this Siri icon a bit smaller and out of the way. So I'll touch on the back button, and let's take a look at launching apps. So it's saying here you can just say launch photos, play Minecraft, get the Pinterest app. So often, and even here, search the App Store for cooking apps. Let's do that. I'll hold my finger down on the home button. Search the App Store for cooking apps.
Okay, here are some food and drink apps on the App Store.
And it opens up the App Store, and here we go with all of these cooking apps, and all we've done is use our voice to see to have this result come up. Once again, hold your finger down on the home button. What can you do?
Which one?
What can you do? And here we go. Once again, all of these things that come up. So as you scroll through, touch on any of these to see what more can be done. So here is with calendar events. So you can set up a meeting. You can meet with somebody. You can set up a meeting about hiring. You can create a new appointment. You can schedule a meeting. You can change an existing meeting. You can ask about your agenda. So let's do this. Create an appointment titled Lunch with Tian for 1 p.m. tomorrow.
You already have another appointment about iPad OS 13 recording at 9 o'clock. Should I schedule it anyway?
Yes.
Your appointment is scheduled for tomorrow from 1300 hours to 1400 hours.
So very quickly I was able to add that appointment. Change tomorrow's lunch to 12:30 p.m.
Let me know which appointment you'd like to modify. Gym at 5 o'clock tomorrow. iPad OS 13 record. Your appointment called lunch will be tomorrow from 12:30 to 13:30. Ready to update it?
Yes.
It's on your calendar for tomorrow from 12:30 to 13:30.
Make an appointment titled Visit to Doctor for 3:30 p.m.
I can create your appointment, but you already have 2 appointments that overlap with this. Should I schedule it anyway?
Yes.
I scheduled your appointment for tomorrow from 15:30 to 16:30.
Okay, so what you can see there with those examples is that I'm just using normal language. You could literally take your written diary and start reading your written diary into your device, and then when it opens up the calendar, open calendar, it opens up the calendar. I'll put it in day view and just flick it to tomorrow, and let's share the screen again. So let's make sure I grab the right one. There we go. I'm sorry it's a bit dark. That's the only way I can make the Siri voice. Hopefully you can let me know that yay, no Siri echo from Dorothy. So obviously the echo is now fixed, but we've got a little bit darker screen. So you can see here, here's tomorrow. I already had appointments on for recording videos for iOS 13. And here's the lunch appointment, and here's the visit to the doctor in the afternoon. And all of that done very, very simply with my voice. So for you, if you do have a written diary, why not make your challenge be to add any appointments you have in August to the calendar? Just hold your finger down on the home button and say, create an appointment titled. And that is the little trick. That word titled, if you say make an appointment with the doctor, it will try and email the doctor the appointment. If you made an appointment, create an appointment with Colin Dunkley at 3 p.m, it'll actually look up my contact details and email me a copy of that appointment. Now that could be good, but for me it's not what I want, and for you probably not either. So if you just use the language create an appointment titled, then you can give it the title that you want to show up on the diary, and that's probably the most efficient way. So give that a try. Now I've noticed Tian saying, yay, lunch tomorrow. I'm holding you to this. I have witnesses. So just as easily, I could go to my iPad, cancel tomorrow's appointment lunch.
Should I remove this from your calendar?
Yes.
All right, it's off your calendar.
Am I in trouble? Do you reckon I'm in trouble? I reckon I'm in trouble. I should have left that there and cancelled the doctor one, shouldn't I? Aye. Okay. Kurt's saying that the echo is still bad. So hopefully when there's playing back the recording, the echo is gone. But if not, I will definitely re-record. And it's probably Alice. I know you'll be logged in as Kurt, but I know Alice and Kurt, thank you very much for the feedback. Sorry if there is too much echo. Okay, so as we continue to figure out what the iPad can do, if you go through this list,
Sorry,
what can you do? You go through this list, you'll see it's quite comprehensive, and it goes on and on and on. There is so much that your iPad can do. And for me, this is kind of getting beyond that starting point where I've probably shown you how to get the weather, how to find out the time in a different country, how to convert in the kitchen. So how many grams in 3 ounces?
it's 85.05 grams.
What time is it in Paris?
In Paris, France, it's 12:01.
And a little trick that you may not have known about, you can see this little symbol down the bottom. I've just asked for the time in Paris. I can touch that now. London.
In London, England, it's 11:01.
San Francisco.
Here's some information.
And it actually reaches a point where it stops, but you can say, what's the weather in San Francisco?
Okay, here's the weather for San Francisco, California, the United States for today.
San Diego.
Here's what I found.
So it's well, I've been able to get to 5 in a row, but I'm happy to fail. This is what happens with Siri, but it's actually when you hit this button after asking a recent question, it will normally keep up to date with the answer. So you can start to ask things in context. So just try that if you've asked for, even if you've asked for the weather and you wanted a different country, you've asked for the weather and you forgot to say the country, because if you speak and say, what's the weather today?
Here's the forecast for today.
It comes up with where you are. But then if I touch it and say, in Paris,
Here's the weather for Paris, France today.
it changes to being in Paris today. So you've got that opportunity if you have made a mistake or you misspoke a city to just very quickly touch that button and turn that query into the answer or into the question that you want. So Siri's being integrated absolutely everywhere. And from my point of view, especially if you're on a phone, Siri becomes exceptionally powerful, particularly when it comes to messages. And this is something that I hope all of you can embrace after seeing the demonstration tonight, that if you're trying to type on your iPhone has such a small screen. I'll just wake my iPhone up and open up messages. A few questions on there. I'll just go to Tian. So if I try and type on this little keyboard, the chances are with big fat thumbs that I'm going to mistype. I'm going to hit the wrong letters on this small keyboard. And I know with many of you, I was working with a client just this week, and every time she was trying to touch these keys, her other fingers were actually touching other keys without her knowing, causing mistyping. She, a great speller, but was unable to get the typing done because her fingers just kept hitting the wrong keys. So rather than trying to send any message by typing, why not try even now sending a message to me by just holding down Siri, send a message to Tian Ewers. I might take you up on that offer of a cup of tea.
Here's your message. Ready to send it?
Yes.
Okay, it's sent.
And you're still typing the second word. So this is why I think you've really got to overcome this, or maybe you can even let me know in the comments, what is holding you back from using Siri on particularly on your phone. I mean, I've had some people who tell me that they feel silly talking to a machine. But you don't feel silly when you're walking around like this, talking to a machine. No one at the other end can tell if you're on the phone or not. But we find that this is acceptable. So if that's what it takes for you to use Siri, why not hold it up to your ear and ask Siri to do something if that's what it takes for you to get started. But you don't need to go to that extreme. You can just hold it in front of you so you can see it. And I'm copying it. Tian said too late. I'm not getting it. Yeah, well, I've got my water. Okay, so anything to do with typing on the phone, I use Siri. If it's sending a message or even if it's a quick email, you can use Siri here. Now, a variation of Siri on your phone, or actually on your iPad as well, but is to use the microphone. Now, the microphone is normally near the space bar on your phone, or on the iPhone 10s, it's right down the bottom. So the thing is with Siri is that whenever you pause, it wants to send the message. But if you wanted to, thank you, Elizabeth. And if you wanted to pause, so sometimes when you start talking, your brain freezes or you need to gather your thoughts. So what you can do is just touch the microphone instead. And thank you for letting me know that if there is no lunch date, there is no tea. Full stop. Maybe we will need to go out to lunch. Comma. Don't you think? Question mark. So you saw there that I was able to pause. I was able to get my thoughts together. I was able to insert the grammar. And that's using dictation. So dictation isn't Siri, but it's a variation where when you're using dictation, it's not waiting for a pause to take over. It just listens and types whatever you say. If I was to say, what is the weather today? You'll see that it just types, if it can focus there, it'll just type, what is the weather today? It won't actually go and get the weather. And so that's the difference between dictation and Siri. So other things that Siri can do are tie into kind of location services that are available with your device. I might stick to the phone here because it is, I know that that's not going to have the echo, but some of the things that you can do, often you might get a call or a message from somebody who is asking you to do something on the way home. And so Tian might ring me up and say, and you've probably heard me say this before, can you get some milk on the way home? But I'm likely to spend 2 hours at that premises and I'm likely to forget. So what you can do is simply hold your finger down on the home button or just say, hey Siri. Hey Siri. So the iPad grabs it. I'm going to close the iPad. To the phone. Hey Siri. Remind me when I leave here to get some milk.
Okay, I'll remind you about get some milk when you leave the location.
And so it knows what my location is. I didn't have to tell it where I was. I can tell it to remind me. So you might be at someone's home or you might be at a business and you need to call someone when you leave. And you can simply say, hey Siri, remind me to call my dad when I leave here.
Okay, I'll remind you about call my dad when you leave the location.
And it's just that simple. So you can utilize location with an instruction. And particularly with the phone that has the GPS built in, that's going to be very, very effective. Now, if you're just doing that on the iPad, obviously your iPad may not have a SIM card, it may not have GPS, so it's not as good with the reminders that you need based on location. So that's where I think that the phone is very powerful. Now, other things that you can do with this device, and I think because this is a private webinar, I should be safe on YouTube to do this. But if you subscribe to Apple Music, you can play any song you like. So if anyone has a request, I will play the song. But otherwise you could say, "Hey Siri, play me some jazz music."
Now playing pure jazz radio.
And there you go. It's just starting to play some jazz. Now I don't have to have this album. I've probably never heard this song. Hey Siri, pause the music. One of my devices heard me. Okay, so you can play any type of music. If you subscribe to Apple Music, you can tell it to play an individual song. You can tell it to play a particular genre of music. And I find this absolutely fantastic, particularly in our home where we do have an Apple HomePod speaker. Or if you do have an Apple TV in your home, you can play the music. You can say play music to the Apple TV in the living room, and it will start playing music through your television speakers or through whatever speakers you may have connected to your Apple TV. So to me, this is incredibly simple once again, because all I want to teach you is easy, the easiest way to do something. Once again, if you have the iPhone, I don't know how many of you have a GPS in your car. And what is it like to get a GPS up and running? You need to turn the dial to enter the suburb, and then once you've entered the suburb, you can enter the street, and then you can enter the number, and it can be quite cumbersome to enter details into your in-car GPS. But with your phone, you literally can say, "Hey Siri, get me directions to Maroochydore RSL."
Getting directions to Marucci RSL.
So you don't even need to know the street, and it will go about getting directions to whatever place you ask. If you don't know the name, but it's actually a street, you could say, "Hey Siri, get me directions to 100 Brisbane Road."
Getting directions to 100 Brisbane Road, Mooloolaba.
And also, you can tell it, and I'll just stop that because obviously I don't want it to do that, but also you can tell it to get directions to someone's home. Get me directions to my dad's house.
You'll need to unlock your iPhone first.
Okay, I'll unlock it. And the reason it needs to unlock is because it's looking up the personal information of my dad. So I'll just try that again. "Hey Siri, get me direction to Dad Dunkerley."
Getting directions to Dad Dunkerley, home.
So if you've got the person in your contact list, it will give you directions to that person as well. And it's with live traffic. So we tried this afternoon, getting directions to Brisbane Airport, and it actually deviated out a fair way from the normal simple route. And there obviously was a very, very heavy traffic build-up. There might have been an accident, and it automatically factors the live traffic into giving you directions. So it really is quite powerful. But where Siri is going is that it's integrating with third-party applications as well. So one of the things that you may notice, and I might see, I'm not going to use voice instructions for these ones, so I might go back to my original style of broadcasting so we can see the screen clearly, because this should not need the camera from above. Let's flip this camera away, take it away. There we go. Actually, I don't want to finish yet. No. Got to be careful not to click this finish button. And I'll stick my noggin back on. There we go. Okay, so get the camera out of the way. So what you may notice now is when you go to when you use an app, sometimes the app will suggest to you a Siri shortcut. And you think, Well, what's a Siri shortcut? Well, it's Siri learning what you do and trying to make it simpler for you. So right now I'm going to click here on the Settings app again, and on the left hand side I'm going to come here to Siri and Search, and you'll see that I've got Siri Shortcuts. My shortcuts, I've got 38 shortcuts. And as we scroll down, there's a section here that says All Shortcuts. And you may not have this top section where it says My Shortcuts yet. If you've never used it, you've obviously got none. But if you scroll up a little bit to where it says All Shortcuts, you will see that your device is going to give you some suggestions as to what applications you have on your iPad or your iPhone that integrate with Siri. So as an example, I use an app called Evernote, and Evernote can take, I can do typed notes, I can do written notes, I can scan documents, but I can also take audio notes like a dictaphone. And often when I'm at a seminar or I'm learning something, I will record the audio notes as I'm typing written notes or writing written notes, and I'll write, at 12 minutes, 10 seconds, this person said, and I'll just give it a heading so that later on I can come back to that time. So it's a really handy app. But you'll notice here that it's suggesting that I can create a new audio note using Siri Shortcuts. So what does that mean? Well, if I come across here and touch this plus, what it does, it actually opens up and says, Add to Siri. Create a new audio note in Evernote. You can say something like audio note, and it seems a bit confusing. Well, what does it mean? Just say audio note. Well, what this is the ability for you to create your own special instruction for Siri, so it will automatically open up this app and then automatically open up the audio section and automatically start recording, and all you will need to do is say those two words, audio note. So I'm going to do that. What I do now is I just touch this red button here, audio note, and that's it. I have now created a phrase. Now it's actually saying phrase is already in use, which is pretty smart because I did this demo on Wednesday and I've already recorded this phrase. But that's how easy it was to do. So now let me show you this in action, just how powerful a Siri shortcut can become. So
Apple.com should be able to answer that question.
I've got too many devices with Siri on at the moment. So here we go. Hey Siri, audio note. You can see it opens up the Evernote app. It opens up a new note. It opens up the recording, and it's now recording my voice. And so now I could be in a seminar. Colin is talking about Siri shortcuts. And I can be in this seminar and I can be taking notes. I could actually be adding a sketch now. So I could, if I had my Apple Pencil handy, I probably do have it handy enough. So I could be writing, and obviously I'd be writing much neater than this. I could be writing, and all of this is being done whilst that recording is still going. And so I can be writing notes, having the recording. Now I'm just going to touch done on the top right side there, done. And there we go. I'll touch done on the left hand side. I have just created a note, an audio note with a 2-word instruction. So I recommend that all of you go and open up settings, click on Siri and Search, touch on all shortcuts, and just see what is presented to you. You might find that you like to read the latest headlines. So here it's got read the latest headlines on Google News. So I could touch this plus button. It's just suggesting that I say Google News. So let me try that. I'm going to click on this red button, Google News. It's now recorded that phrase. I'll just hit done. And so I can either do this by holding my finger down on the home button or just saying, hey Siri, Google News. It opens up Google. It wants to know the local news, and here are the local headlines just with a 2-word instruction. So what do you think about that feature with, we started with asking Siri to show us what it can do, and even within that, there is more than all of us are doing. So there's so much there for you to just look and see and copy and try. But in this section is where we really get beyond the basics of Siri and we start using the integration of these Siri shortcuts. Now, these shortcuts, you can see I've got quite a few in here. So now I've added Google News, I've got email Tian, I've got the audio note, find Tian. I can say find Tian, it will find where she is. I can tell it to take a selfie. So here I could say Spectre selfie and it's going to open up that particular app. I can tell it to fire the shutter and it will fire the shutter and take the photo. So I could be in my own photo. I can even tell it to get photos of Trinity and me. So literally I can hold my finger down, Trinity and me. It will open up my photos and look, Trinity and me over the years. My head is very well placed over me in the bath. That's pretty clever, isn't it? I think I'm covered up anyway. But how good is that? I have created a Siri shortcut, so this will just show me any photos that Trinity and I are in, and it will continually update. So as there are more photos of Trinity and I together, they're added to this album automatically by Apple. Yes, it's scrolling through the photos, and that is a baby's head. So you can see it's really powerful. There's nothing I can do with when it's live, is there? Okay. So I can ask it for tomorrow's agenda. I've got some other ones, fast charge my phone. When I've got this program where I can say fast charge my phone, it will automatically put my phone into airplane mode. It will put it into low power mode. It will turn everything off for about 20 minutes so that my phone can take full charge and it's not using any of the services. It's quite a clever little feature. Find my wallet, find my keys. These are all things that I've programmed in. Battery level. And it will...
Sorry, there was a problem with the app.
And I do have a problem with some of my shortcuts because I do have an iPad that I have upgraded to iOS 13, which is not released yet. And one of the downsides is because I'm running iOS 13, some of these shortcuts have been updated to iOS 13 and will no longer run on my existing iPad and iPhone. So some of them I can't use for 6 weeks until iOS 13 comes out. But needless to say, I'm using so many of these. So I'll encourage you to go into those settings and see what your iPad thinks are good shortcuts for you. And then lastly, before we sign off for tonight, I'll get you to check out another app which you possibly have never looked at. And it's actually called Shortcuts. That's this app here. So if you don't have Shortcuts, you would go to your app store and hit search and just search for Shortcuts, and it should come up there as if I could put the arrow on the screen there, it'll come up there. If it says open, it's somewhere on your iPad or iPhone. If not, download it. It's free. And what Shortcuts is an application where other people have built sequences of shortcuts, like that Evernote one where it says open up the app, open up a new note, start the audio recording. And lots of people have already created thousands, in fact tens of thousands of other shortcuts. Most of them are not for you. But what you would do is come through and see which ones would be. So what you do is you go down, when you open up this app, your library will be empty. You can see how many I've added. All of those colorful squares, they're all ones that I've added. But if you touch on the gallery down the bottom after you've downloaded the Shortcuts app, you'll see that there's a whole list of different shortcuts that other people have made, like this photo grid. And so what photo grid allows you to do is it will turn 4 photos into one photo and put it in a grid. You can literally, there are tens of thousands of shortcuts in here. Here's one that some of you would have seen me use. It's called running late. So someone else made this shortcut and it uses calendars, maps, location, messages and contacts. And when I run that little shortcut, it works out what my next appointment is, where I am, how far away I am from that next appointment. In other words, almost not necessarily how late I am, but what time I'm going to get there. And then it opens up a message to a contact who is my next appointment. And so some of you might have seen a message from me that says, hi, I'm running a little bit behind schedule. I'll be there in 17 minutes. And you think, why on earth does Colin send through 17 minutes? And it's because I didn't even type the message. This shortcut followed all of those instructions you see on the screen, figured out how far away from your house I was, and sent the message with the exact minutes that it was going to take me to get there. So you don't need to know how all of these are built. You just need to enjoy the fact that someone has figured out how to build them. Now, as I say, if you're looking at these and they don't mean anything to you, don't worry about them. But you'll look at some of these and go, oh, that's handy. Where was this photo taken? That might be something that's useful to me. So I hope tonight has inspired you to do more with Siri. I use Siri every day, from something as simple as, hey Siri, make the desk lamp pink. Did that work? Oh, it turned it off. Hey Siri, turn on the desk lamp. Turns on this desk lamp behind me. Make the desk lamp red. Changes its color to red. Make the desk lamp white. Make the desk lamp 100% brightness. And all of this I'm doing with my voice. So I can only encourage you to give Siri more, attack Siri more. There is so much that it can do, and it's only going to continue to get better. I'd like to thank you with persevering. If I did have echo earlier on in this session, I'll endeavor to solve that problem for next week. And if this video has not been up to the standard that you and I would both expect, I'll just re-record it. I'll just set aside an hour and record it. But obviously when I'm interacting with you, it is a lot more fun. So please let me know what you think of the show in the comments. Have you learnt something new? Are you going to give Siri more of a go? So please let me know in the comments section, or send me a message through the phone. Reading through the messages, because I saw here that Elizabeth said that this is a great reinforcement of what we did the other day, because we went through and did this in a hands-on lesson here in Budrum, and Brian is asking if I'm using Effadix on my face. Actually, I went and had it all done at once. So this was the in the sun for 2 hours, because I'm not the type of person to put cream on for 6 weeks. I know how lazy I could be. So this was all done by the doctor in one go, Brian. Hopefully it works well. And Margaret says she's watching, but can't figure out with the chat, but you've got it here. Okay, so Genevieve says, need to put into practice now. And absolutely, this sums up tonight. This is the most important thing you can do. Have a go. You're going to make mistakes. Siri's going to make mistakes. You just have to laugh it off. It really is the single biggest change you will see in the rest of your lives. In iOS 13, iOS gets even better again, but you can imagine what it's going to be like in iOS 14, 15, and 16 in the years to come. Many of you know that I believe I will be made obsolete by Siri. So it is that good, and it is going to get that good. So I've just noticed that this in YouTube, you can put the like. If you have liked it, give it the thumbs up. If you didn't like it, give it the thumbs down. It's okay. Either way, it doesn't matter. It's just some feedback. And if it hasn't gone great, that's okay. You can do that symbol. And, you know, because I've got thick skin, I've got red skin. I like the feedback. Thank you for tuning in and giving up an hour of your Thursday night. We'll be back in a month doing another live show. If you would like me to cover a particular topic, let me know in the comments section, and I'll look at creating and scheduling that in the future. I can feel other messages coming through. Trish says, great program. I couldn't work out how to chat. That's okay. You have. So that came through the watch. So thanks, Trish, for the message. Okay, it might be time for me to turn out the lights. Hey Siri, turn off the studio lights. And the studio lights, I go into almost total darkness. The studio lights is actually a plug. So that's not a smart light. It's actually a PowerPoint that you can buy. So I'm telling that PowerPoint to turn off. So you could have that PowerPoint behind your TV or behind something that's hard to get to turn off. A lot of you have power boards behind a TV. You're going away, you can actually say, turn off the whole power board. So it's quite handy. So anyway, we're coming to the end. I'm going to turn off that last light and disappear. Hey Siri, turn off the desk lamp.
Sending a request. Okay.
And now I'm totally in the dark, and I'm going to call it an evening. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Bye.